At this point, Ethereum will have hundreds of data shards active, state expiry will be live, making the execution layer sustainable. Block builder / proposal separation is live, and the beacon chain has single slot finality. Welcome to Ethereum Audible, Ethereum in Depth. I'm Yoshua Zlatogorsky, and here is where I read the best in Ethereum, the best articles, research, and blog posts, all from the Ethereum ecosystem. Last episode, we dove into Ultra Scalable Ethereum by David Hoffman, and a lot of that work from David at Bankless is based on the thoughts of Polynya, or Polyanya, or Polynya. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but this person's thoughts and blog posts and Twitter threads, whether they're on Reddit, Twitter, or Medium, have really impacted the Ethereum ecosystem in a few short months. And so today I want to read a short one, but a good one. It's called A Vision of Ethereum by Polynya. But first, I want to thank the sponsors of this show who made this episode possible. This episode is brought to you by Alpe Audio. Want to learn on the go but need more depth than a podcast? Alpe is the app for you. It's an audio education app that brings great in-depth courses that are as fun as podcasts but as educational as a degree. Each lesson comes with summaries, additional resources, flashcards, and more. You can even find Ethereum Audible on Alpe with all of those additional resources. If you want to check it out, head over to get.alpeaudio.com, and that's A-L-P-E, Alpe, A-L-P-E. Here we go. Please consider this as a work of hard science fiction. I had written present tense prose from 2025's perspective, but had to rework this post to add in some future tense, i.e. a 2021 perspective, for context, so it has turned out to be a total mess. So it's a terrible work of fiction, but certainly more informative than it was before. And that is Polynya's intro to A Vision of Ethereum in 2025. Ethereum is the global settlement layer, or more technically, the global security and data availability layer. There's a flourishing ecosystem of external execution layers like Rollups and volitions building on Ethereum. This is where all the users and dApps are. These execution layers are not just scaling solutions, quote unquote, but vibrant communities with their own cultures, identities, governance, and economies in their own rights. This is where all the innovation will happen, while Ethereum metamorphosizes into an ossified settlement layer. The different communities will be talking with each other, competing but also working together for one seamless whole, a Greater Ethereum. And what follows is a visualization that I will link in the resources or in the Alpe Audio summary, where essentially you have Ethereum, the blockchain, with an execution layer, a consensus layer, and data shards. On top of that, you have rollups. On top of that, or below that, you have volitions, and connected are sidechains or alternative L1s, and validiums, which lead to external data availability. Some will opt for rollups and be fully secured by Ethereum. Some will opt for validiums with centralized data availability. Some will be validiums semi-decentralized data availability, as in their own consensus mechanism for data availability. Others will give users the choice. Some will opt to keep self-sovereign sidechains with their own relatively centralized consensus mechanisms without committing any proofs to Ethereum. Even here, there'll be a spectrum. It could be an alt L1 that's indifferent and siloed from Ethereum, example Bitcoin, or a de facto Ethereum sidechain that's hostile to Ethereum, something like a Binance Smart Chain, or an Ethereum sidechain that's friendly to Ethereum, Polygon Proof of Stake. While this is a technologically inferior solution to validiums or volitions, marketing, memes, and network effects will persist, given that the more pragmatic of 2021 era's L1s will make a pivot to becoming volitions or rollups. But as mentioned, some will persist with the monolithic blockchain model despite crippling inefficiencies. A possible exception is ZK-L1s, if they can decentralize enough. What about users? 1. The normie users. They'll use some form of centralized aggregator, who will then settle on Rollups or on Ethereum directly. Think of it very much like centralized exchanges, except they'll expand their functionality to integrate DeFi, NFTs, social, etc. 2. Tech-savvy norm users. Tech-savvy users who are comfortable with self-custody will use smart contract social recovery wallets. These wallets will be incredibly advanced with various aggregation mechanisms behind the hood for aggregating smart contracts across multiple rollups. Think of a scenario. User deposits fiat to the smart wallet and wants to earn interest. All they have to do is deposit it. The smart wallet will A. convert to a stablecoin, B. deposit automatically to the best interest earning opportunity, and of course there can be multiple interest aggregation pools like Yearn. All of this will be abstracted from the user. They'll just see they are earning interest on their fiat. Likewise, most popular dApps will be integrated in the smart wallet, so you don't need to hop and skip between front ends and rollups. 3. Application-specific users. Some applications will be done entirely on the front end, with the back end invisible to users. Indeed, we see this happening already with SoRare. Their front end is indistinguishable from a centralized fantasy sports game, while at the back end, they are settling on SoRare's Stark X-based Validium. 4. Enthusiast users. These users will likely transact directly with rollups. The more cost-sensitive enthusiast will use volitions or validiums. 5. And the last kind of user, financial instructions, governments, whale NFT collectors. Finally, there will be a very limited set of parties that will settle directly on Ethereum. Some of these will be aggregating their clients' or citizens' activities, while others will leverage Ethereum to eliminate their data liability. For example, Libra fell afoul of this. Had they deployed a rollup on Ethereum instead of creating their own consensus mechanism, it might have worked out. Of course, rollups did not exist then. Another way to look at this: who will use Ethereum? Financial institutions, governments, corporations, and whales, and of course rollups, volitions, and validiums settling on them. Who will use rollups? Enthusiast users that prefer self-custodying and interacting directly with the rollup chains, how people currently use Ethereum. Who will use validiums and volitions? Same as above, but perhaps more cost-conscious and willing to trade security for lower costs. I expect most people to use smart wallets or centralized aggregators, and rarely interact with discrete front ends like we do now. I'm sure there's an infographic that can be made for this. Applications. I don't think we can imagine the type of applications will be built on rollups. It's a wide open design space with applications that are simply impossible on traditional L1 blockchains. Non-consensus data availability will make significant strides, as will, quote, sign in with Ethereum, unquote. Both will be key. The floodgates will open to a new era of innovation, building innovative applications that'll transform how people and societies function. The lines between social networks, games, identity governance, and financial systems will increasingly start to get blurred. All of this will come together to make what many are now calling the Metaverse, and most of it will be settled on Ethereum, even if users don't realize it. They will be Greater Ethereum users, even if they never use Ethereum directly. Ethereum, the base layer. At this point, Ethereum will have hundreds of data shards active. State expiry will be live, making the execution layer sustainable. Block builder / proposer separation is live, and the beacon chain has single slot finality. The Ethereum Foundation and the broader Ethereum research and client development community has one last remaining mega project before Ethereum is ossified. ZK snark / Stark everything. We might even see some experiments with non-EVM ZK VMs. And the non-acronym version of that sentence is, we might even see some experiments with non-EVM, as in Ethereum Virtual Machine, ZK VMs, as in zero-knowledge virtual machines. Perhaps a dedicated zero-knowledge virtual machine shard built specifically for settling zero-knowledge proofs from rollups or other advanced cryptography, in parallel to the existing EVM. Eventually, the time will come to ZK Snark and Stark of the canonical EVM execution layer and the beacon chain itself. And this is about when I expect to see the first proto-EIPs start emerging. It'll be a daunting project, though, and that'll take several years to complete. There's a lot more I'm dreaming about, but I will stop here. Where do you think Ethereum will be in 2025? I love this vision, and it's short, it's concise, it's full of acronyms, and you really have to be in the inner Ethereum crowd to get all the references to the technical jargon, whether it's shards or ZK snarks and starks and proofs and EVM and EVZK EVM, all of those different things. But I think the main takeaway, and this connects to the ultra scalable Ethereum read we did last episode, is that the Ethereum community is thinking about the evolution of the Ethereum ecosystem in a very similar way to how the internet came about. And it's a protocol built on a protocol built on a protocol. And this is something you'll hear, or I hear very often in the Bitcoin circles, where you have Lightning built on top of the base Bitcoin blockchain, and other layers will be built on Lightning, and other layers will be built on the base blockchain. And every core protocol will do its own thing. But the same is true in Ethereum. And if you can get the base layer, the beacon chain, to do consensus, to do that basic execution, and to have enough block space to fulfill all of the demands of the rollups, of the volitions, and the other side chains or alt L1 chains that want to use the base chain, then the reality is that the base chain, the beacon chain, will have enough capacity to fulfill everyone's desires. And that's one huge building block of Ethereum 2.0 or Ethereum 2025. And the other main point is the interoperability of all of those different parts playing together. The rollups talking to each other, the wallets connecting with the rollups in the backend so that there's a seamless user experience. And there's this one sentence here that I really loved, and it's, all of this will come together to make what many are now calling the Metaverse. And most of it will be settled on Ethereum. And that's my feeling today when I engage with different projects, whether it's on Polygon or on the Ethereum mainnet, where all of these tokens are interoperable, and I can take my crypto raiders, and I can take my gods unchained, and I can take my any token that I have that's ERC20 compatible or ERC721 or whatever it is, and it's compatible on Ethereum, and it's all interoperable already, and I can swap it, and I have control of those assets. That's the promise of the Metaverse, and it's already here. And that's what gets us to Ethereum 2025. It's that interoperability with the data availability and the scale that the different parts of the modular blockchain provide.